All right, we're going to try this again. You don't know, but I already tried to record this once. My screen was giving me all kinds of trouble. We're trying it again. For those of you who are new to this channel, hey, we'll admit it. We're Lions fans. We live in Michigan, and that has given us a great love for this man right here, Jim Harbaugh. Been a Michigan fan my whole life. Enjoyed watching Harbaugh when I was really young. And then whether it was with the Colts, whether it was not really with the Bears, because I hate the Bears, being a Lions fan, but absolutely enjoyed it with the Chargers. And, we wanted to follow him there, and it's been awesome. The Lions just actually had a new jersey reveal. It got leaked earlier today. And so I've said this before. I said it on our Lions channel. Hey, the two best jerseys in football belong to the Lions and the Chargers. All right. The Honolulu Blues and the Powder Blues. And I've said it on this channel. But that's not what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about current NFL players at risk of losing their starting role on 2024 draft night. And this one really speaks more to the absolute talent that is in the draft than it does to who this player is, I think, or the situation. Because right now you would make an argument that behind Josh Palmer, he's the number 2 receiver. So in order to lose his starting role in 2024 draft night, there would have to be 2 wide receivers that are rookies that would be drafted that would pop ahead of him. All right. Now, it talked about less than a fortnight a week, right? Fans and pundits are busy pondering, all that kind of stuff. For some, it means what appeared to be a window of opportunity closes on them. For others, it's the sad acknowledgement that a one-time first-round draft pick just isn't the player teams hoped he would be. Whatever the reasons, there are plenty of players available who will make this list. All right. And, on this list, there's guys like Tyler Conklin, Aiden O'Connell, Sam Darnold, Mac Hollins in Buffalo. There's offensive tackles. There's cornerback Ronald Darby. There's edge rushers. And then you have Quinton Johnson. And first I'll see this, and then I want to do something fun. I want to do a wide receiver selected every single round of the NFL draft just to show you the kind of talent that there is. So we are going to do this. At first, it would seem like Quinton Johnson, last year's 21st overall pick, you would have no problem being like, yep, he's going to start. He's absolutely going to start. And they're sitting here saying several mocks have the Chargers with a wideout at 5. Okay, that moves them to number 3. Josh Palmer isn't a world beater, but he has shown something that Johnson has not, the ability to be a productive NFL receiver. And by the way, can I just say, as we're about to enter our mock draft, can I just get here for a second? When I'm going through right now, rewatching every Chargers game from last year. It's been a lot of fun, right? Josh Palmer's good. Like, he's better than you think. He's just stuck behind 2 guys that are going to get more targets. I'm telling you, Josh Palmer, fantasy football, pick him up. All right. And that is depending also on, you might be able to get him for nothing at this point. You might be able to get Josh Palmer for, like, if you're in a dynasty league, like a 9th round pick, right? Or a 5th round pick or something like that. Just go for it. All right. So let's do this thing where we're doing a wide receiver at every single round. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this one. I am going to move to just wide receivers here. Here's the question. With everyone I have, I want you to tell me who you would take in that. So with the 5th pick, who would you take? In the comments, just leave like 5th, Neighbors, 5th, Adunze, 5th. I hope it would be one of those guys. I personally like Neighbors just because of the upside of it. I think Rome Odunze is a ready-made product, just like Neighbors, but Neighbors has a little more athletic giftedness. Rome Odunze would be like Mike Williams. I really do believe that that's kind of the floor for Odunze and selected in a similar spot, but we're going to go Neighbors here. I'm not going to spend too much time because I want to have time to talk about some of the other wide receivers before making this just too long. With the next pick 37, you are still going to have a ton of wide receivers. So I have to imagine, like, I'm not going to sit here and talk about like, oh, well, let's see what we could do. So now let's start talking about some of these wide receivers and why they should go here or why they should not. All right, so Troy Franklin. Thin body guy. He's Marvin Jones Jr. Like if I can't believe I haven't seen this comparison with people. He feels like Marvin Jones Jr. He's not a world-class burner, but he's fast. He's a 4.4 guy. All right. And he's very slight of frame. He's not great at getting off the line of scrimmage, especially in press man, but he finds a way to get open. Keon Coleman. All right. He is a big-bodied wide receiver that needs to work on his route running. He is a 4.6 guy, which is very slow, but he can run and catch the ball, and his game speed is faster than what his speed is measured. Roman Wilson, a Michigan wide receiver, right? The question is here, like, what do you have on your team? Because do you need a slot guy? Roman Wilson can absolutely play on the outside. Ricky Pearsall, all right, here's a guy who's been just flying up draft boards because they're starting to realize that Ricky Pearsall may actually be one of the most athletic and polished receivers in this draft. I don't think anybody's seeing it coming. All right. That's going to be my pick here. And you might be upset about it. And I've thought about Xavier Legette because he's almost like a running back as a wide receiver. But I think it's just too early to take him. You have to understand where it falls. Ricky Pearsall with Herbert could be absolutely dangerous. It's hard for me not to take my Michigan Wolverine, and Harbaugh might, but I've already taken Wilson in mock drafts on this channel, so we're going to go in a different direction. All right, so there was a ton of wide receivers. So if you were to have those, do you think that Quinton Johnson would lose his starting job to those two guys? Because I think he would. All right, so now what are we looking at with this next one? We have Palmer on the team. That's what we know. And every one of these picks, I'm going to assume that we have Palmer and we have Quinton Johnson. That's it. So if I have those two guys, what I want is an absolute downfield threat, a menace, a guy who has track speed, but also has the ball skills to back it up. I want a guy like Devante Walker. Devante Walker he has got great speed. He's a sub 4.4 guy. He has put together decent stats, but he's never been able to play a large amount of games with great receiver. He transferred to North Carolina, was only able to play 8 games last year, couldn't practice with the team, all that kind of stuff. Made it really, really difficult. So we're going to select him here with the 69th pick. And we're going to see what's available when we get all the way back to 105. So here's the point of this mock. Like at each round, what could you get? If you're waiting until the round 3 to get a wide receiver, you can get a guy like him, right? If you're waiting until round 2, you're a Pearsall type guy. If you want to select him in round 2 and 3, you can have 2 starting caliber wide receivers right there. But what happens if you wait until round 4? You get the belle of the ball, and there's a couple of them. All right, there's a couple of them, and I'm really hoping in my next couple picks, there's going to be some of these guys that are going to continue to be available. But Brendan Rice is a guy that I'm going to take every time he's available. If he falls to the 4th round, I'm going to take him because he basically, to me, has the upside of Rome Odunze. He has very similar testing, slightly slower, similar body, slightly bigger, actually. And he has the name recognition. He's shown that he can catch. His route running is pretty polished. Not as polished as Dad's, but it's pretty polished. And he has good hands. Like he's the guy. He's the guy. I'd be surprised if he made it all the way to there, but he's the guy. So if you wanted to wait all the way until the 4th round, you could get a guy like him, and then you still would have people like a little slot ninja guy like Jacob Cowing available. Taj Washington, all right, on the other side, all right, of Brendan Rice, 5'10", 175. You have a lot more of these types of guys that are available. So I'm, as weird as it sounds, and I know that it shouldn't be already taking one of these guys, but I'm going to look at a guy like a Luke McCaffrey. All right, I'm going to look at a guy like a Luke McCaffrey who is 6'2", 195 pounds. He can play inside. He can play outside. His testing was absolutely through the charts. It was through the charts. And so when you're watching him, I don't believe that he should be drafted. I know it says he'll be available if I wait till the 140th pick. So maybe I should, but I'm not gonna. I'm drafting him. All right, I'm drafting him at 110. So you could wait until your 4th round and pick up 2 starting caliber wide receivers. I'm not saying they're ready to go day 1, but they're good wide receivers. And now, thank goodness, the guy I wanted to be available, Cornelius Johnson, is the guy that is available. Cornelius Johnson is interesting. He's a 4.4 type guy with speed. He has the size. He's 6'3", 208 pounds. He just simply didn't get a lot of targets in the Michigan offense that ran the ball like crazy. He's made some spectacular catches. Early on in his career, he really struggled with concentration drops. That's not the case anymore. He's a good player, and I think he can do some things on the football field. I don't think you draft him to be your number 1, number 2 wide receiver, but you draft him to be a guy that can come in, play on the outside when you need him to. He's that guy. Wide receiver, 140th pick. All right, we are still sitting there in the 5th round with quality wide receivers. And that's about where, it's going to stop. By the way, if I didn't pick a wide receiver, Braden McGregor, great pick, high upside, good athlete. Everybody thought he'd be the next Hutch. He never ended up being that, but he is good. All right, so now the question is, who do we get with these last picks? All right, this is a very interesting guy to me. All right, Lamar Griffin, he is 5'10", 180 pounds. He's quick. He has great punt and kick return duties. He's great at that, which you don't necessarily need because you already got one. All right, so where else are we looking? I like to look outside and say, all right, Joshua Cephas. All right, what does he have? What UTSA? Are you kidding me? For real? And he was graded out really well. All right. He had a poor contested catch rate, but he had a phenomenal drop rate. He just flat out caught the ball. All right. He had 1,151 yards last year, caught 89 of his 121. He can play on the outside. He had 10 touchdowns. This is the kind of guy that late in the draft you just go for. All right. Let's get it. And I think that can be about it. I'll make one more pick just because we're here, so why not? But hey, the draft is going to be a ton of fun with the Chargers. Make sure you come back and hang with us, and we'll see it. Hey, there was injuries last year, so we're going to go ahead and get Griffin with the 225th pick. Again, another return guy that you can have, a guy who can play in the slot. Nothing insane, but also not that bad either. And then where are we going to go with the last one? All right, where are we going to go with the last one? And there's a lot of different options here. And by a lot, I mean 3. And so there's just not much here at the end. 7th round, I've done hit rates. It's not good. It's not good. You're not getting a good player. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a guy, Hayden Hatton, plays at Idaho, right? Like, we're not sitting here saying he's this great player, but here's what we see. We see that he has consistently done a good job. He's decent at contested catch. He's great in the receiving grades. Let's just enjoy a guy who is good at doing what he does, all right? And let's draft him, and who knows, maybe he becomes something. So there you go. A wide receiver in every single round, and sometimes multiple wide receivers. I got a C+. They did not like my round 6 and round 7 draft picks. All right, and that's okay. They didn't like my receivers as we got into round 4 and beyond, but they didn't like them because I already had wide receivers. All right, I already had them. All right, and that's why they didn't like it. So there you go. There's a look, and you can make this a wide receiver in every round for the Chargers. This is what you could have. I think there's a world where they don't take a wide receiver at the 5th pick, but then they have 2 really good wide receivers available for them, either with 37 and 69 or 37 and 105 or even 110. I think you can get wide receivers at all the way up until the early 100s in this draft because it is such a deep wide receiver class. All right, hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. See you on the next one.